Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. That is the late lamented Tom Petty, who passed away this week. We will be discussing his impact on my musical history as well as the rest of musical history in today's episode of Dylan Knows. Welcome. It is Sunday, 12 o'clock, which is when I first started doing this show, I planned it out for Sundays at 12:30 because normally we go to church. And then my guests would always be freer in the afternoon, like around 12:30-ish. And so that lasted for a while. But then some of my guest hosts and regular hosts were like, well, sometimes we can't do Sunday afternoon because of various family things, which is fine. This is a dumb little, stupid little show that I like to do. But, I try to accommodate as many people as I can. So I said, okay, tell me when you can do it. So I've done it on Friday nights before. I've done it on Saturday nights. I've actually done it Saturday afternoons before also. So, and also it also helps me out as well, because sometimes, if I'm doing a solo show like this, I might need to do it on a Saturday night or a Friday night. And lately I've been doing a lot more on Saturday nights because that gives my Sunday free to watch my Ravens play. They've been started off the season strong, but have been crappy the last two games, and they're out in Oakland today. Hopefully they'll play better. They probably will, because when the game's on, I'll be playing laser tag with my daughter and possibly my son and wife, depending on how they feel after their long camping excursion they went on this weekend. We might be discussing that a little bit further too later, but this is my show. Normally, this slot, first Sunday of the month, would be me and MJ Khan talking comic books, but MJ is presently in the process of moving into his brand new 12th floor office, which he's worked really, really hard with. And congratulations to him. You've done a really good job, and now you're raising the corporate ladder, which is great. So he's moving in there and helping run some stuff. So we'll try to fit him sometime this month. Don't know yet when. And also I got to talk to Jerry Fletcher, see when we get our Halloween or October list show going. I don't have any ideas yet, so hey, if you have any ideas for a top 10 list, let me know. Also, it's close to Halloween. Halloween is the end of the month, obviously, the 31st of October. It's on a Tuesday. And I'm thinking I need a costume too, and I'm right now running dry right now. So if any of you out there have a idea, you can comment on this video, or you can you can tweet me at Holidil, HOLIDILL, or at Dylan Proco, DYLANPROCO. Now, normally I would have it up on my lower third, and lower third's been working, but now it's not. I just turned it on and it's not working. So I don't know what's going on with that. So I think I don't want to exile that, because if I exile that, maybe I'll exile out of everything. I don't want to do that. So we're back to Sunday for this week anyway. The main reason why is because the aforementioned my wife and son went on their annual fall Cub Scout camping trip. My wife is the assistant pack leader of my son's troop, so she has to be there, obviously. And I stay home with my daughter, and we have a daddy-daughter day. We had a low-key day yesterday. We went to the library. We hadn't been to the library in a while. Got some books. Went to see my mom. For those who might not know, it's been over a month now. My stepdad passed away September 6th. My mom's doing fine. She's in the process of cleaning out the house, and it's going to take some time, but she's making some progress on it, which is good. And soon she'll be able to take back control of the house and make it hers again. I mean, she loved having Roger around, and she loved having his stuff in there, but during the time that he was still alive, there was constant wars between the two of them trying to get a lot of his stuff out, because the funny thing is, I noticed a lot of him and me, he has tons of books. I mean, shelves and shelves of books. And then he went to our basement, into their basement also. I have boxes and boxes of comic books, and my wife hasn't been pressing the matter too much, but we're going to be having some wars about that too eventually, considering we keep putting off trying to clean this place up. And as you can see, it's still... We make a little progress, and then we stop for a while. Back that way, toward the bathroom over there, my Halloween stuff, I think, is over there. I want to probably pull that stuff out and maybe get some of that up today. It's weird. Right now, it's not very October Halloweenish feeling. I'm not in the mood yet. And it could be a number of things. One, the weather seems to be a little off kilter now because, it's freaking 80 degrees and humid and sunny all week. It's been like Indian summer. This first week of October, and we had a little bit of a chill back in August, or rather, it was early September. It was earlier in September, and even a little bit at the end of August also, we had a nice little chill. So they sort of flip-flopped. What we had this week should have been then, and what we had this week should be now. But right now, it's still kind of a hot, humid. I got the air conditioning on because it's so hot and humid. Good news is we're getting rain. We haven't had rain in almost, weeks, maybe even a month or so, and we need it desperately. We're going to get hit hard with the remnants of the tropical storm that's hitting down south. And again, thoughts and prayers to those in the path of the tropical storm. Batten down the hatches and be safe. It's been an interesting week, and we're going to talk about a lot of stuff this week that happened this week. And, a lot of it might be stuff that you might not be interested in, but it's stuff that I'm interested in or I find interesting. So that's what we're going to be detailing today. So without further ado, again, I might be getting into some political stuff. For those who've seen the show before, know my political views, and that might be why I have 0 viewers watching the show right now and averaging about 8 to 10 viewers on each of my videos. Maybe that's why, but you know what? This is my show. I'm on episode 211, for God's sakes. I've been doing this for 4 years. I ain't stopping anytime soon because I like doing this. And, I kind of like how my voice is right now. I'm still a month into this cold I've had. It isn't as bad, obviously, and it's slowly going away, but every once in a while you get that little cough and attack there. But I let my throat up here. So let's just throw a bunch of stuff out there, because again, last week's episode was a little off kilter because I wanted to do it. I try to do a weekly show, and sometimes it's hard depending on what's going on in the world. And last week we had a lot of interesting stuff going on, but I couldn't do Sunday because I had a lot of stuff I needed to do on Sunday, and I needed to do the show on Saturday night. But we had family events and stuff like that we wanted to do as well. So last week I didn't do my show till 11 o'clock at night, and for those who watched last week's show, all 6 of you, you could tell I was sort of out of it because I was rambling on more so than usual, not being very lucid and going in all different directions. The one thing I wanted to pull out from what I did last week, I'm bringing up again this week, is the funny thing is my daughter and son, they have tablets and they watch YouTube, and my daughter particularly has a favorite YouTuber who's a vlogger, video logger, and basically is just telling stories about her life. Now, what's interesting is that she's an animator, so she animates the stories that she's telling, but she's basically just telling stories about, when I was a kid, I picked on this one kid, or when I was a kid, I lied to my dad about eating all the chips and stuff like that, and blamed my younger brother and stuff like that. And my kids love it, and you check the views on that, and there's like over 1 million views on that. It's like, okay, I'm doing something similar like that, except I'm not animating it. I'm just sitting here talking in a room. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe you don't want to look at my ugly mug. And maybe I should consider going the podcast way, where you just hear my voice and that's it. You just put the headphones on and you don't have to look at my ugly ass face. But, I don't like doing that because I'm not very technically advanced. And that's one of the things I will reach out and say, I don't know tech stuff. And I get made fun of at work about that, but, I'm just not. My dad was a math teacher. His dad died when he was 13 years old, and he was the oldest of 6 kids. So he had to take on the aspect of dad to help my grandmother. And it was so much so that my Uncle Frank, who's the youngest, was 1 year old when his dad died, looked to my dad as his dad when he was younger. And he was so upset when my dad married my mom and he was 10 years old. And when he realized he wasn't going to be moving in with them, he got really, really upset. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's all different now. He's now living on his own in South Carolina after losing his wife to cancer a few years ago. But he's got 2 great kids, and he's lived a full life, and he's happy now. He lives not that far away from the beach in South Carolina. He's got a dog, and both his kids are grown-ups. His daughter is married to a really great guy. His son is, still young. He's in his early 20s, so he's just finding his way, and eventually, things will happen for him too. But that's basically it. I mean, it's just these people talking. Now, if you look at a lot of the videos that my kids watch, and other people obviously are watching, it's just people talking. I mean, there's this one guy, I forget what his name is. I mean, he does something, you can actually see his face too. He does, and he talks about, like, basically he releases a video every day, and it's about more political stuff. He's more of a political guy, and he does stuff from his basement as well. He's got a studio and stuff like that. And, you know, he gets millions of viewers, and I still can't figure out what the difference is. Maybe they're talking about more things that that people are interested in than what I am. But I think a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be discussing today is stuff that's been all over social media today. And yeah, a lot of it is comic book related and pop culture, because I'm a pop culture guy. I mean, hell, I want to create my own coffee shop called Pop Culture Coffee, which I would really like to do, but I don't have enough money. I need to win the lottery, or I need to get a fundraiser going, but then, you know, that's only enough to get started, and then you got to be sure that you're making enough money to cover, you're going to be done. I mean, you can't keep doing fundraisers to make money, you know. So I don't know, but it boggles my mind, the fact that, and look, on the outside, it doesn't irk me that I don't have a lot of viewers, that nobody's watching right now. I mean, when I did this show, started 4 years ago, our Snark Alex group was strong, and I got a few of them to watch, but now none of them watch. And I'm sure none of them are the ones who watch the show. I mean, I think some family members do, and that's about it. I mean, if all the Snark Alex watched, I'd be in the hundreds, you know, and that would be great. I mean, if I could break 100, that'd be fantastic. Now, I try to get other Snark Alex on here, but nobody wants to be on the show, MJ and Jerry notwithstanding. And you know, and even then, if I get other people on the show, I mean, I sort of have to figure out an episode that they can relate to, and that's not easy. Now, I got a few coming up. I'm going to try to work into the program before the end of the year. I want to do something about Star Wars' 40th anniversary with some Star Wars fans. I want to do, you know, a Doctor Who thing with the announcement a few weeks ago of the female Doctor finally coming into play. And, you know, I'd like to try to get more people back. But a good example of how my Twitter group, the Snark Alex, has sort of not really fallen on hard times, but has just sort of dissipated away, is last night. Now, this is partially Sci-Fi's fault. The Sci-Fi Channel used to air really bad sci-fi and horror movies like almost every Saturday. Not every Saturday, but they did it a lot through the whole year, not just at certain points. And, you know, you might only get, say, in March, you might get 2. And then in April, you might get 4. And then in May, you might get 1. And then in June, you might get 4 again. In July, you get 2, you know, and October, you get 4, you know, stuff like that. But they've stopped doing that because I guess either they've decided they want to go a different way, which is fine. It's a business model. That's what you want to do. And you're probably getting more viewers doing this way. They're focusing more on television shows. So they're doing a lot more TV seasons. They have a good program where they only do 13 episode seasons. And to me, that seems to be the right amount. In some cases, maybe 10 would be better in some shows cases. So they're doing a lot of that. So a lot of the money that they used for making these B movies, have gone to TV shows. Now, a lot of the Snark Alex have gone over and have watched a lot of TV shows, but it's a lot harder to snark these TV shows because some of them are actually really, really good. That was the whole point of being Snark Alex, is to make fun of these bad movies that they're making. And the directors and writers who made these movies, the ones who get it are the ones who participate in the Twitter talk and, you know, don't get too upset. Perfect examples last night. I want to get the guy's name right because he was fantastic. We watched the movie last night because, you know, now Sci-Fi only does it for Halloween, and they do for Shark Week for Sharknado because Sharknado was a huge hit for them. So now they are going to keep doing that. And then Halloween, they always need to do, they do 31 nights of Halloween, and they need to do scary stuff. So, oops, wrong button. Alex Merkin. Okay, I'll get that in a second. So now, instead of it being spread out over a full year, they compress it into 2 periods, a week around Sharknado, and then 4 movies in October. Now, sometimes they throw a Christmas one in there or 2. They didn't do it last year, so I'm not anticipating it happening again this year. But they might surprise me. But in this case, so last night is a good example of how the Snark Alex have sort of dissipated lately. Sci-Fi aired the first of their original movies that they're going to be doing in October, and it was called House of the Witch. And Alex Merkin is either he's at least the director, but he might have been the writer also, to be honest. I wasn't paying attention to the credits because I was watching the movie. And they were down here at the bottom, so I really wasn't focusing on that because I knew there was nobody famous in it that I knew, and there never really is. But Alex came on and was, liking a lot of, the posts that the Snark Alex were saying, some that insulted his movie. And he would also respond to a couple. One of my particular favorites was there was a scene in the movie where there was a guy who was strung up in a cage and looked like he had been tortured. And, when they're trying to get him out, they're trying to move the cage and it pulls it tighter, so he's getting tortured again. And I made a little comment like, "Oh, geez, look, it's turned into Saw." And he responded to me, he's like, "No, not really. Well, maybe a little bit." And it was really funny, And then at the end of the night, he sent a tweet out saying, "Hey, thanks for snarking with me." Actually, I want to see if I want to get, because it was a really classy tweet, and I responded to it because I thought it was an awesome. Awesome tweet. Let's see, replying to. Okay, it was. All right. Alex Merkin said, "Just wanted to say it was an honor and a pleasure being thoroughly snarked by all of you. Loved all the comments. Thanks for watching." And this guy gets it. He knows, that it might not have been the best movie in the world, but you know what? He made a freaking movie, and it got aired on television, and it got viewers, and it got people talking about it. So something he did, something he wrote and directed, might not have been the best movie in the whole world. And he comes out and says it directly. Hey, you know what? It might not be the best film in the world, but you know what? He made the movie. He spent time. He made it. And he got it aired on Science Fiction. That's something I would love to do. I would make a horrible movie just so people could see it. And if they would snark on it, I'd be snarking with them about how bad it is, because there's only so much you can do with the budget you have. And yeah, it might be a typical idea that we've seen a million times, but you know what? Sci-Fi needs to fill 4 slots during Halloween. If you have an idea for a movie that, if they give you some money, you pay for it, then guess what? You get it and you do it, and it's on, and guess what? You have a credit. You are a filmmaker. You can say, yeah, I made a film. This is my film. And then you might make some money off of it. Maybe you might get some stuff on Netflix or video or whoever or whatever. He made a movie, and he gets it. He understands. Now, there have been some people who have taken umbrage to the fact that we were making fun of his movie. And look, that's okay too. It's a free country, despite the way things are going. That's besides the point. And he, there are those that, complain about, well, you shouldn't be doing this and stuff like that. And that's fine. You know what? It's your art. And if you really like it, that's fine. But that's also part of being an artist. Like this show, nobody watches this show. No one, I think, really likes this show except for me. But you know what? I'm not going to let it stop them. Have I gotten some mean comments? Not recently, because they're not watching anymore. But early on, yeah, I got some good ones, and I made fun of them, and it was fine. Plus, I always get that one person who always comes in and thumbs it down. I still think it's my boss from work. I've gotten to a point where at one point I've had 4 to 6 thumbs downs on this video, and you know what? You can't let it get it over you. It's like, you know what? It's not for everybody, and I'm not doing it for people. I'm doing it for me because I like doing this. But Alex Merkin gets it. Now, the film itself, we might delve into some spoilers a little bit, and we might discuss it a little bit more, hopefully, if we can get the snooze off the ground next week. This week was just a rough week. I was tired. I was worn out on Thursday, and Tony was running late on some things, so we decided we'll wait till next week. So we'll probably be doing an episode of the Snooze next Thursday, and we'll be discussing this film a little bit more. We'll get more viewers then because a few of the Snark Alex still coming on that. But what disappointed me about this movie is the Snark Alex response to it. There was barely any Snark Alex out there. There were some. I know Aaron was out there, Lisa Marie Bone was out there periodically, Tony was out there, I was out there, Scott McDonald was out there, Myrna was out there a little bit, and then some other people, I don't remember their names, but they are members of the Snark House. We have over 100, people, and I don't remember everybody's names because I don't interact with everybody all the time. But they were on there too. But then there were a lot of people missing that usually I like to see, make comments on, and usually when back in the old days when we had these movies on, it seemed like every month, every weekend, we would have hundreds of people, not hundreds, but we'd have at least 30, 40 people snarking about it, and we would trend it easily. I don't even think we trended it this year because nobody wanted to watch it. Now, granted, you can make it the fact that, it's just another generic horror film, or they're just not feeling it because of so far this year has been shit because of a lot of different things and just didn't feel like doing it, or you had a bad day or you had other plans. That's fine, I know, but we only have a limited amount of these films that we can snark, and I was just kind of disappointed in the lack of Snark Alex who came on. And I've been upset about the state of our Snark Alex lately. It's just, and look, I know we've been Snark Alex for years, and Sci-Fi hasn't done us any favors by not doing these movies. During the Shark Week, we get a lot of people on there, and we do after shows, and we get lots of viewers and stuff like that because they like the big monster movies. But these generic horror movies, I guess they tend not to like them too much. And I don't know, I guess that's okay. Everybody has a different preference, I guess, because the big monster movies are a bit more fun to snark at than, say, a generic horror film like this was. It was a generic horror film. And basically the premise is, there's a house, big, as more of an estate, as one of the actors of the show said, in the movie said. It's an estate that's been abandoned for decades. There's an urban legend that it's haunted. People egg it on Halloween night, and people try to get up there, but something always scares them away and stuff like that. The police show up if someone's trying to go in and tell them to leave and stuff like that. So college students are back for their Halloween event at this small town like in Ohio or Iowa or Indiana or something like that. Country, small town USA. Sorry, my mind is wandering right now for a second. So you have the college kids coming back for their Halloween fall festival type of thing, and it's Halloween. So, hey, you're older, so, all you really think about is, getting laid and stuff like that. So, and Halloween is always the best time to get laid because you scare, girls, and they want to cling to you, and then they get their adrenaline up, and then they want to fuck you. So, I mean, that was the consensus behind this. So they decided they were going to break into this house, and they were going to throw this big party, and scare the girls that they had coming, and then they were going to get some. Obviously, it didn't turn out that way. They get the house, and the house closes up on them and locks them in. They can't get out the front door. It's locked. All the windows are boarded up, and there's weird stuff going on, weird music playing, weird visions of a witchy type of woman, weird, bizarre pictures moving around, a mirror that sucks you in and cuts off your fingers, and boils that start appearing on your face, and, all kinds of horror stuff. And then it just keeps building and building till you realize, you're going to die, and then people start dying in horrific ways. One guy thinks that his girlfriend is upset, and he talks to her for a little bit, and then she jumps on him, mounts him, like she's going to have sex with him, and he's like saying, nah, it's not, you're getting a little too aggressive, and she keeps pushing him down and starts, ripping off his clothes, and then all of a sudden she turns into this witch thing and just starts chopping him up, taking his skin. We discover later on, spoiler alerts, that the witch who's in that house was drowned in the 1600s, I guess. Maybe it was a estate from maybe not the Midwest as I thought it was, but it was small town USA. It could be somewhere up in north. It could be Maine or Connecticut or Boston or something, like Massachusetts or something. I don't know. It didn't have the feel. It had a feel of a Midwest town, but you know what? What do I know? So she was killed as a witch, and so she wants to come back to life. So what she does is she lured in these kids, and she was stealing parts of their bodies, you know, fingers and skin and I guess sexual organs. I don't know, and doing stuff, and to get herself back to health and alive again. So they all die in weird, gruesome ways, and she turns from a witchy, wicked-looking woman to a black smoke, and there's like rooms in the house that has like hands being cooked on the oven, and you know, disgusting smells and weird food, and just weird pictures and weird bedroom things and weird dolls and just all kinds of, just getting the sense of weird stuff, you know. And, you know, they get picked off one by one, as in a horror film. And in the end, spoiler alert, you know, the heroine gets out, but then she gets sucked into the drowning pit, as they called it. And there's a police officer who comes and saves a girl and, you know, is able to bring her back, you know, to life via CPR, stuff like that, and then carries her to the police car. And then they start looking around to see if they can find anything else. They find another body in the water. So, as they pull it out, we realize that it's the heroine, that the heroine was not the one that got pulled out. What got pulled out and brought back to life was the witch. And she walks out fully reformed and with the blanket, and evil wins. And that's, you know, in most of these horror films that happen around Halloween on at Sci-Fi, the evil wins, you know. And, you know, even in some cases, you know, because a lot of these monster movies, what they do is with the, like the Sharknadoes and stuff like that, and the giant sharks, stuff like that, they beat the shark. But then there's one last scene where, oh, there's baby sharks, or there's another shark or something like that, and ta-da, sequel. So we'll see what happens. I mean, all in all, generic, typical haunted house horror film. You know, the college kids, you know, screaming and breathing hard, and that got kind of annoying after a while, and freaking out. I mean, look, I understand you're in a place, you don't know if you're going to escape, and weird things are happening, and weird smells, and people are getting hurt, and weird things are popping up on your bodies, and just strange things are happening. I know, but you're freaking out a little too much for my taste, and you're also breathing a little too. And you can't see your lines because you're breathing. And I was like, wow. They need to learn how to breathe through their nose. You need to settle down, but you need to stop panicking, because that's what's going to kill you. You need to stop. Yes, there's stuff in there that's trying to kill you, but you got to stop. You got to think. And in fact, you know, someone, you know, came up with an idea. It's like, you know, if you show a mirror to a spirit, rumor is that you show a mirror to a spirit, it'll suck their soul back into the mirror, and you'll be okay. And they abandoned that whole idea. I thought that was what's going to be how they were going to win, was, you know, it got mentioned halfway through the movie, and then I was like, okay, they're getting close to the climax. Okay, what they're going to do is they're going to remember, oh yeah, wait a minute, there's a mirror upstairs. Well, we grab that and draw the attention of the evil witch, and we'll show her reflection, and bam, she gets sucked into the mirror. End of story. That didn't happen, obviously. So we'll talk about it more on the snooze next week. But you know what? It's your typical generic horror film, and you know what? I gotta give credit to the director for taking it on the chin and being a good sport about it, and that's what makes live tweeting sometimes a lot of fun, because when they get it, it's fun to interact with the people who are, and the actors and actors sometimes come on too. They didn't did that last night, but sometimes they do, and they come on and they interact as well. So pretty cool. What else? Well, speaking of ghosts, since we're in the Halloween mood, I'm trying to get into the, as I said, the October mood. It's been very warm out, and it's, you know, rainy and dreary out today. It's going to be this way for the next 3 or 4 days, which is great. I just much like a lot of stuff that's going on in the world, I haven't gotten into the spirit of things, and that's unique for me, because usually I'm all over this stuff. And as I said, I don't have any costume ideas. I don't even have the house decorated yet. It's October 7th, right? October 8th, holy cow. So, you know, Halloween's only, what, 23 days away. You know, it's less than, or it's a little bit more over 3 weeks away. So, and I don't have the Halloween tree up. The Halloween tree up says go up October 1st. It's a little model tree about this big. And, it has different ornaments for every day. It's almost like an advent calendar, but for a countdown to Halloween. The kids love to do that. It's over there somewhere. So I said, maybe I'll do something like that today. It's just, I don't have the urge to it. I'm hot. I'm tired. I'm grumpy. And it could be because of what's going on in the world also, I think, is playing a part of it also. But it's just, I'm not feeling it this year. And it's been happening a lot this year. And I don't know what the problem is. But since we're talking about ghosts, let's talk about ghosts. They announced a while back a Ghostbusters animated movie. Now, I don't know if it's going to be using the characters from the real Ghostbusters cartoon, or if it's just going to be a generic, okay, we're bringing back the main Ghostbusters, but in cartoon form. Or are they going to have the female? I don't know. Or if it's just going to be, I don't know. But the rumor is that this animated Ghostbusters movie is going to be from the viewpoint of the ghost, which to me is actually kind of an intriguing idea. I don't think we've ever actually seen something like that before. And to have an animated Ghostbusters movie, you can do a lot more. You can make the ghosts more horrific, make a bigger story with a more wide-reaching instances and incidents and stuff like that. So that alone might be interesting to see how they do it. If they're going to use a computer-generated animation like they've been doing a lot lately, like your Moanas and your Pixar movies, or if they're going to go to typical 2D animation, which, to be honest, 2D animation hasn't really been around. If you notice that, a lot of the animated movies out now are all these like 3D style type of anime movies, which are fine because you're taking the next step up. But sometimes you just want to see an old school animated film, and that's why the Japanese release those types of things. That's why they're always going to be releasing. Now, they might do some computer generated ones here and there, but their bread and butter is they prefer the 2D animation with the gorgeous colors and the love, because they know how to draw maybe better than we do. But more than likely, it'll probably be a 3D, fully animated film, like a Pixar film type of thing, which, could be a lot of fun. But if you're going to do it from the ghost viewpoint, that's actually a really neat idea as well. So I'll give them credit for that. Also, speaking about ghosts, as you all know out there who watch the show, I'm a Pokemon Go guy. So my wife is more Pokemon Go than I am, and the kids, we finally got them phones so they can go become Pokemon Go players as well. They're at level 23 now. I'm at 32, and Dawn's at 33. And so we go out as a family and we catch Pokemon, and it's a good family bonding thing. I mean, yeah, it sounds weird. Yeah, you're all looking at phones, stuff like that, but in between, Pokemon aren't always popping up. You're talking to each other and you're walking around the neighborhood. You're getting exercise, and that's the whole point of the game, is to get exercise. I mean, a lot of people give it crap, but to be honest, Niantic, who's the creator of it, they want people to go out. They urge people to go out. They give you bonuses and stuff like that if you actually get off your ass and walk around. You can hatch eggs by walking. Now, by driving, you can. I mean, you drive, you have 10K eggs, 5K eggs, and 2K eggs. And if they didn't want you to walk around, driving from here to my work, I could probably hatch 1 million eggs, because 10K, 5K, and 2K are not really that far if you don't think about it. But they want you to walk. I mean, you'll get little increments added to your. These are part of your steps to get you to hatch the eggs, but you're definitely not going to get the full Megillah. You'll get very minimal amounts of stuff for that, because you have to walk. Now, when you walk, things go by really fast. You're like, whoa, how'd that happen? Like, it's a good example is when Dawn does her 10-mile runs in the morning. She hasn't done in a while, but that's okay, given the fact that A, she's tired, and B, it's hot as blazes in the morning. She can hatch like 3 or 4 eggs, 10Ks and 5Ks and stuff like that, because she's running. And then when you're out walking, things get, they get hatched really quickly also, because that's the whole point. That and going out there and being social. That's why they do these raid things now, where you go to gyms and they have giant raids and you work together as a team, no matter what team, if you're blue, red, or yellow. You work together to take down a raid boss, and then you try to catch the raid boss after you're done. And then there's the fun aspect of it, where you try to take over each other's gyms and stuff like that. And, they have a Discord where you have discussions. They have a messenger where you set up raid things like that, and you do different things and talk about, rare Pokemon that are spawning. And it's funny seeing a chart of Hunt Valley, which is up the road. It's like an explosion of rare Pokemon. It's just like a massive storm front, just like boom, like that. But what happened was Pokemon Go came out last July, and it was a massive hit for like the first month and a half. And then gradually, as you're like, okay, I'm catching more of the same stuff, more Pidgeys and Weedles, and okay, it's become a little boring. I'm spinning the wheel, I'm getting stuff, and I'm evolving stuff, and I've gotten everything, and I'm just sort of walking around now, just getting XP and hatching stuff and trying to, fill out my Pokédex, but I pretty much filled up now. I'm kind of bored with it, so I'm not going to play anymore. So a lot of people stopped playing after a while because it got boring, and it still is a problem. I mean, we still get lots of common Pokemon that spawn all the time. You're like, you know what? I don't want to catch any of these because I got a million of them. I don't need them. And it's hard to get the rare ones. I mean, you got, as we said, there are special illegal type of scanners that'll show you, like in Hunt Valley, they'll show you all the rare ones. But you know what? You have a lot of the rare ones anyway. You've either evolved them or you've caught them at these places. But, sometimes you get surprised every once in a while. I mean, there's still a bunch I'm missing and I'd like to get, but they just don't spawn around me. So what Niantic did was they decided, you know what? We're losing players left and right because the game's getting stagnant and a little boring. Now, they didn't want to release Gen 2 right away. They're still working on it. I mean, it's a computer program, so it's going to take some time to program everything in there. But they came up with, like, you know what? We're entering into the triumvirate of fall holidays. October, November, December are great months of the year because you get one holiday after the other, which are huge. 2 of the 3 are huge, but I personally love Thanksgiving myself, and I think it's a huge one also. It's really the time in the year where you get such a boom, 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 and everyone gets excited about, because you get the Halloween, commercials, and you get the Halloween decorations on outside people's yards, and you get stuff in your stores and stuff like that. And then, Thanksgiving gets sort of overlooked a little bit, but it still gets a little bit of love there because Christmas is a huge one of these 3. So Christmas becomes huge. And you start seeing Christmas like the day after Halloween, which is a shame because Thanksgiving is actually pretty entertaining as well. And there's some Thanksgiving stuff out there, but it's mostly Christmas stuff. And then you start getting into the Christmas, try to get into the Christmas spirit, stuff like that. And then, of course, December hits, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, shit, 23 days to Christmas, 24 days to Christmas, So they decide, we're entering this period of time now. Why don't we create special events, which are key to these holidays? And it'll only run for like 2 weeks around the holidays. So maybe we can get people back into the game and get them excited again and stuff like that. So what they did was they created the Halloween event. And the Halloween event was they released more of in the Pokemon world, they have 7 or 8 different types, and 2 of them are dark and ghost types. So they released more ghost types and dark types instead of spawning your common ones, your Pidgeys and your Weedles and stuff like that. They lessened those spawns and increased the spawns of Ghastly and Haunter and Gengar and some of the other ones that are out there. So Cubone was another big one that I remember. There was one other one, I can't remember what it was, but it was huge. And they increased those spawns. And so it's great because, it was something different because, the Gengars and the Haunters and the Ghastlys and stuff like that and Cubones were kind of rare. They weren't spawning as much as, say, the Pidgeys and the Weedles were, and the Spearows and stuff like that, and the Rattatas particularly. So these started coming out more often. It's like, oh, cool, we can go out and it's Halloween, so you go out. It's dark at night, and you go out and you catch, you're walking in the dark, and all of a sudden this big giant purple demonic-looking creature pops up on your Pokemon Go, and you got to fight it. I mean, my son caught a Gengar. It was really, really cool. It was in the middle of the night. It was not the middle of the night. It was like 7:30 at night when it's dark here. And it was great. So they also gave, with Trick or Treat, you get candies. You get candies for every Pokemon you catch, and the more candies you get, the more you can evolve stuff. and you get more XP and more Stardust to evolve things as well. So they doubled like the candies you get. They doubled the stuff you get from Pokestops. So you get more balls and more potions and more stuff you need, and got more Stardust. And then, they did that for 2 weeks and it was great. People came back into it in droves. They took it back over. It was great. And then they stopped it after 2 weeks because it was November. And then gradually people started, fading away. It's like, okay, this is great. So they came up with the Thanksgiving one. I forget what the Thanksgiving one was, but they did a Thanksgiving one, draws people back in. And then again, it stops out. They came up with a Christmas one, stuff like that. And then you get to January. January, there's not really a lot going on. So they decided, okay, we're getting ready to release Gen 2. So why don't we release some of the baby Pokemon, which are the initial Pokemon that haven't been released into the game yet. These are new characters, and it'll be a good precursor to Gen 2, which we're going to release in February. So they released the baby ones to say, oh, new Pokemon. So they came, and you have to, some of them you could only hatch from eggs, some would spawn and stuff like that. You have to go out and you could catch them, and that got people's interest up again. And then Gen 2 comes out in February, and all of a sudden, all the interest comes back because it's all new characters. Now you have 100 new characters you got to catch. So that lasted again for about a month and a half. And again, after a while, it's like, okay, I caught more of the Gen 2s, and they go back. They have the Easter holiday, and then they start having all these other events, spring equinox and summer day, and fire and water ones and ice, and then they would increase spawns of rares and stuff. So that they are continuing to do this. So every month now, there's some sort of special event or change that goes on to keep people interested, even if it's for a couple weeks. And then there are those of us who play it all the time, no matter what happens, like we are. So now we've come back around, and we're getting close to Halloween again. Again, they haven't fully announced what's coming, but they said we are doing another Halloween event. It'll probably be, again, I would say it'll probably start, it's usually the Thursday before. They tend to like it go longer than that. Will it be, it would be too soon to do it on the 13th, I think. So maybe the 21st to the 3rd of November might be a good period, or they might just do it a week and a half, so they might not do it or whatever. So it might be coming up soon. Now, they're probably going to do the same thing again, increase spawns of Gen 1 and Gen 2, because we haven't had Gen 2 Darks spawn as much. And there were a few more Ghosts and Dark types like Mischievous and Houndoom and Houndour, have them come back out. And you can have increased spawns on them and try to catch more of them, or have them be in more eggs so that you get eggs during that period. When you hatch them, you'll get these Ghosts and Dark types you've been wanting. But then they, and then they'll probably do double candies again and double star, and they'll probably do all that. So they're probably going to do the same thing they did last year, but they're adding a little wrinkle to it, according to the rumors out there. The rumors are that they're going to release some new Pokemon, because there was a press release where they said go out and hunt new Pokemon. A lot of people are believing they're going to do similar to what they did with Gen 2. As I just said, the Gen 2s, they released the baby Pokemons, which were part of Gen 2 first, before they released the entire Gen 2 catalog. Gen 3 has Dark and Ghost types as well. So what do? During the Halloween event, you release the Dark and Ghost types from Gen 3. That'll draw more attention to come out and say, hey, we're getting some new Pokemon now, particularly Bayonet, who's freaking awesome. Can't wait to get him. We're getting new Pokemon now. It's not a lot, but we get a couple of them, but it's a precursor to what's coming in November. And now November would be the perfect time to then release Gen 3, because there's really not much you can do with Thanksgiving. I mean, you can share stuff like that, and maybe they'll start trading, which is an idea they've had also for a while now. But I would think Gen 3 would probably be the best, November would be the best time to release the rest of Gen 3. Get people to lead into Christmas, and then you do a Christmas event and keep going for a while, and then that would mean then you would release Gen 4. It tends to be about between like an 8 to 10 month window. So then if you release in November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, you release Gen 4 in the summertime, which would be a good summertime event, because this year's summertime events was doing the raid battles and the legendary Pokemon, which they still have plenty of legendary Pokemon. They'll have plenty of raid battles and stuff like that coming up as well. And then December, they're also talking about bringing out a new legendary called Ho-Oh. So that's good stuff. All this, as I said, is rumor and hearsay. We're not going to know until Niantic officially says, okay, this is what we're doing. But that appears to be the direction they're going to be going in. All right, let's talk about that story. Switching gears a little bit. this past Wednesday was my 14th wedding anniversary to my lovely wife, Dawn, who is upstairs exhausted out of her mind after spending 2 days with a bunch of rambunctious 8 and 9-year-olds in a outdoor, hot, warmer than usual area, doing lots of activities. So she's worn out. But our anniversary was this past Wednesday. Now, our anniversaries have never really. Look, we know we love each other. We know, we're happy to have been married for 14 years. There's no need for us, and it's not one of these things where you better get her a present because she says you don't need to get me anything, baby. You better get her something because she's gonna be angry at you. No, technically, no, she probably wouldn't be if I didn't get her anything, but I still would because why wouldn't I? And it's not a big deal in our household. I know in some households anniversaries are huge, and I don't know. I guess it's nice to celebrate something like that because your own personal holiday as it is, and I'm a big proponent of that. But to be honest, it's not a big deal for us. I guess when you get into the 14 years like we are, it's not a big deal. Maybe when 20 years rolls around in 6 years, that might be a different story. That's not till 2023. So, we got a little bit of time before then. It might be, the big ones like 20 and 25 and 30th and the even zeros and the fives maybe. But when you get to like a 14, even 15 is not even that big. It just goes to show you the sign of longevity in your marriage, which is great. My sister and brother-in-law are going to celebrate their 24th wedding anniversary in November. They were married almost exactly 10 years before we were, so that's why it works out that way. Get a little personal. To be honest, I honestly don't remember us ever having sex on our wedding anniversary. We didn't have it our wedding night. That's a long story. I've already talked about that before. And it just seems like every anniversary we just never have done that. So, and this year was no different. But that's besides the point. I just wanted to throw it out there because I just found that interesting. You guys probably didn't. You're like, too much information. Dylan, why'd you have to mention that? And she doesn't watch the show, so she's not going to hear that I mentioned it. But we still give gifts to each other. There's nothing nothing crazy. Like, my wife doesn't like. Well, she likes jewelry, but she can't wear jewelry, and she can't wear makeup. She can't wear nice clothes because her job does not allow her. She works for McCormick Spices, so she has to be completely uninhibited, as it were. Not uninhibited, that's probably the worst word, but she has to wear her uniform, which is a polo shirt and work pants. The same, you can't wear dresses and nice blouses and stuff like that because you're testing food in a food system where the slightest thing could change a whole batch of spices that she's testing and doing quality control for. She can't wear jewelry in case she can't even wear her wedding ring. She's got to take that off. She's got to leave that here because jewelry can't accidentally fall into a batch of stuff that she's testing, and it's going to ruin the whole thing. It's going to cost some millions of dollars. She can't do that. She can't wear makeup. Same thing, because it'll affect the way things are. So she's just normal stuff like that, and so she's grown up, and she's never really been a girly girl anyway. She likes to wear jewelry and stuff like that, but it's never been like, oh my God, I need jewelry. I know there are some people out there who just, they crave jewelry. They need jewelry all the time. And I can't afford it, to be honest. Would I like to buy her diamonds and jewelry? Sure, I would. Absolutely. But she doesn't care. And I'm not being naive. She doesn't wear jewelry. She might wear the little studs on her ears during the weekends or at night or whatever, but and then she dresses up. We do weddings, stuff like that. She'll dress up, or holiday parties, stuff like that. She'll dress up and she'll look nice, and she'll wear jewelry and stuff like that. But they spends the majority of her time at work, so she can't wear any of this stuff. So it's really kind of a waste of money, to be honest, because she's not really going to be able to wear it all that much. And she also knows we need to save money for food and mortgage and power and stuff like that. So she gets it, and I don't have any crazy things that I want. I like comic books. I like Funko Pops. I like toys and movies and stuff like that because I'm a big child, but I like that kind of stuff. I think she got me some more Funko Pops. I don't know for sure. There's a bag of stuff over there that I looked at and saw that. And I what I like to do is I usually get her the same stuff. I usually get her a book and wine because she likes those things, and maybe a video, like a book she's read, like The Expanse. But I'll wait till Christmas to get her The Expanse season 2. But I also like to try to mix things up a little bit because, for her birthday and Valentine's Day and Mother's Day, I always get her pretty much the same stuff. I know exactly what she likes, and I get her those things. But sometimes you need to mix it up a little bit. So what I've been trying to do lately for our anniversaries is I try to get up onto, what the official presents of the anniversaries are. There's a list of them. You go to your search engine, type in, wedding anniversary presents, and it'll give you a list of, this is what you give for the first wedding anniversary, second, whatever. And stuff like cotton and jewels and gold and electronics and stuff like that. They have 2 styles. They have the traditional and they've got the modern, and you can choose either or. So I decided, let me try to get something different for this year, because to be honest, there really isn't a lot of stuff out there movie-wise, and I always get her wine, and it's like there's not really a lot of usual stuff out there. So let's see what the 14th wedding anniversary is. The 14th wedding anniversary party present is traditionally is ivory and modern is gold. I'm not going to buy her anything gold because it's too expensive and I just can't afford it. And then ivory, there's a problem because ivory comes from elephants, and there were ivory poachers who would kill elephants just to get the ivory. So ivory hunting has sort of become illegal, but there is such a thing as fake ivory, or there's a color ivory. Or what they've been saying now is you can get elephant presents. It's got ivory tusks, so it fits the traditional mode. She likes elephants, but I'm not going to buy her an elephant present because, nice, an elephant. Oh, happy wedding anniversary. Yeah, that's great. Instead, what I did was I went to Amazon, which I normally love Amazon. And after the story I'm about ready to tell you, I still do, but I have some issues with them, as I'm getting ready to tell you about. So I went to Amazon. And it's like, okay, this was on Monday. So the wedding anniversary was our wedding anniversary was on Wednesday. So we're Prime members. So I'd figure I'd find something that was Prime related, and I'd get it in 2 days. I wouldn't have to pay shipping. Cool. So I looked through ivory stuff, and it's typical stuff. I found a couple things I like here and there. There's ivory scarf, there's ivory this, there's ivory that. But nothing was really catching my eye until I found this one thing. And as I said, she doesn't watch the show, but she might be listening in upstairs. I doubt it, though. She can't hear me anyway. I love my wife. There was this like ivory and gold, so I get both integrated into it. This like almost like statue of a rose that was ivory and gold, and it's up against a nice little block thing. So it's a nice, pretty. It's just like a pretty little thing you put in like a china cabinet or something like that you can look at, and it's pretty, and roses have that significance of love and stuff like that. So instead of buying like ivory colored roses for real, and they have them die within a couple days, I decided to buy her this really nice replica ivory and gold rose thing. It was affordable. It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't too expensive, and it said Prime. I was like, fantastic. However, this is where the story begins. This first part is my fault. So I was looking at Monday on my lunch break. So it was probably around 1:30, 2 o'clock. And apparently, I guess, the cutoff time for getting stuff shipped out in that 2-day window, which doesn't make any sense to me, and maybe that should have been the first clue that something wasn't going to be happening, right? When I ordered the rose that had Prime on it, I was assuming 2-day shipping. I won't have to pay it. I'll get it in time I bought this on Monday. It would get here on Wednesday. Perfect. I'd be right in time for her anniversary. I can just give it to her and say, here you go. So I go to the checkout, and they give you a little readout. Okay, this is what you bought, and this is the expected date of shipping, or arriving rather. It had Thursday's date of the 5th on it. I was like, well, that's not going to work because our anniversary is on the 4th. And that was the free 2-day window. That's what it said. This is what it said. If they have a button that was highlighted that said this is the Prime 2-day free shipping, isn't going to come to the 5th. It's like, well, at the time I thought, okay, maybe they have a cutoff at 12 noon, but that really doesn't make any sense because a lot of Amazon places probably don't release the stuff till after 3. That's when the cutoff time should be, is 3 o'clock. That makes sense because you're only there till 5 o'clock, so you get stuff done by 3 o'clock, and you're like, okay, we'll ship it out. We'll get it packed up, and our pickup's at 5 o'clock. It'll be perfect timing. If it's any time after 3 o'clock, then it's going to have to wait because we're not going to be able to get it through the system, packed up, and sent out on this delivery route. It's going to have to wait till the next day. So maybe start thinking, I was like, maybe I just missed the cutoff date. Oh, well, so I looked at it. They said, well, you can get it in 1-day shipping, which I guess, doesn't make sense because it wouldn't, I don't know. I still trying to figure my head around it, but you add a little extra money to it for freight, and you can get it on the 4th. It's like, okay, let me do that. It's only like $4. I was like, that's not bad. I can spin that easily. So boom, I add $4, changes the date to, okay, it's going to arrive on the 4th. I was like, okay, fine. It's $4, not a big deal. So I send the order in, click, pay for it, like that. I know, as always, I love when it's finished. As soon as I finish buying something and I finish it up, I hear the email tone hit on my phone. It's like, yeah, you click on that. It says, yeah, we've received your order. This is all the information you know. It's like, cool. So then Tuesday, I'm checking my emails, and usually they say, if it's going to ship in 1 day, they'll say your order has shipped, scheduled to arrive on the 4th. I checked early on Tuesday, nothing. Checked the afternoon Tuesday, nothing. I went on the site, and they have the little thing is like out. There's a little thing that says out for delivery, and the little bar was just before out for. It hadn't hit out for delivery yet, but it still said due to ship on the 4th. Okay, I checked at night, still nothing. I was like, okay, maybe there's some sort of glitch or whatever. So now it's our anniversary day on Wednesday. Get up in the morning, check Amazon. Not out for delivery yet, but still scheduled to ship today. I was like, okay, it's not good. And I checked again at lunchtime. Still not out for delivery, but still scheduled to deliver today. Okay, maybe they just forgot to upload it, whatever. So then I get ready to leave from work, and I say, I'll check it again one more time. I check it, and it says, due to ship on Monday, due to arrive on Monday. Not 4 or 5 hours ago, you said you were going to get it today. So it's not coming today. So I had to tell my wife, I bought you something, it ain't going to come to Monday, I don't know what's going on. And I sent an angry diatribe to Amazon, and they were trying to help me. It's like, I can't talk to you about it because I'm in the middle of work here. So I was like, okay, I can handle Monday. So I told my wife it's not going to come till Monday. She's like, yeah, it's fine. Your present's left on my desk also. So that was fine. As I said, it's not a big deal. We're happy. We know we love each other, and we're happy to be married, stuff like that. So then I keep checking to see if there's something else wrong, because there have been times where they've canceled orders for whatever reason. Still nothing showing up. And then I checked my emails, and I was like, okay, let me just check my junk. Maybe they sent it to, because usually I get it's shipping now into my regular email, but sometimes it might show up in junk. Maybe they sent it through a different email address. I checked my junk. Yeah, there's a problem with your account. You have to, your credit card, has bounced or whatever, you don't have enough to cover this. You have to give us a new shipping information. I was like, ugh, are you kidding me? So I checked the balance on my credit card, and yes, we are in the hole. This is on Thursday, remember. Okay, we're in the hole. All right, I get that. My wife probably paid her mortgage, so we're always usually in the hole. We pay our mortgage. I get my paycheck, and it's going to cover the hole, but we're only going to have like $100 to spend till next week. So I started thinking, it's like, now when I ordered originally on Monday, she hadn't paid the mortgage yet. And if you would have shipped it on time, this wouldn't be an issue. So, usually my parents and Dawn's parents send us checks for our anniversary. So I was like, okay, maybe we'll get some checks in the mail. We can put it into our account. I'll be able to tell them, hey, redo my card, and I'll be able to pay for it and ship it out. So we get the checks on Thursday, and I tell my wife, okay, can you deposit it on Friday, and I'll check Amazon, and I'll change it so that they can take it out of there now because we have the money now in the system. So on Friday, I go to Amazon's website and check the bar, the tracking, and it says, your order is shipped. Do arrive on Saturday. I got the email. The email eventually shows up in my feed. Just yesterday, you sent me an email saying I didn't have enough money. Now I do. How'd that work? I still don't know how that worked because she just put the cash in on Friday, and I saw the email on Friday. Maybe they ran it on Friday. It's possible, sure. I don't know, though. And then, sure enough, Saturday, they knock on the door. There's her present. So it's sitting up on the table right now. So it made it on Saturday. Didn't make it on Monday. So just a weird, random series of unfortunate events. So that's my Amazon anniversary present fiasco. As I said, I haven't had any issues with Amazon. There might have been one time where they canceled something because they didn't have it, but they forgot to let me know. So I was wondering where something was. I had to go in and check where my order's status is, and they say, oh yeah, it's been canceled. And then you click on notes, says this is what happened, and the item was discontinued or something like that. And I was like, well, great. Well, you should have told me. I should have got an email, and I could order something else. So I ended up ordering something else, and I got it, stuff like that. And there was one other time, which wasn't their fault, but around Christmas time, someone stole a box off our doorstep. It only happened the one time. We had stuff delivered there all the time, and never happened until that point. And it didn't happen again after that point because we still had stuff delivered on the 22nd, 23rd, 24th of Christmas. And I tried to get my money back and never did. So just not enough proof that it was taken, which is fine. It wasn't that expensive, but it's still kind of frustrating. Those are the only times I've really had an issue with Amazon. Every other time I order something through Prime, I get it within 2 days, sometimes even 1 day. I've been surprised before where it says, yeah, you're going to get it on Wednesday, and Tuesday I come back from work and oh shit, there's a box. My stuff that I ordered on Monday is here. It could have been because it's coming from the local plant down in Dundalk, but still, it said it was going to come on Tuesday or come on Wednesday, and it came on Tuesday. Hey, that's great for me. So, by the way, I'm probably going to move most of this to my wish list, but if you want to get me something for Christmas, I have about 120 items in my hold for later section on Amazon, which I might shift over to my wish list, so you'll have an idea of what I want for Christmas. I'm going to try that this year because my parents are always asking for ideas, and I love Dawn to pieces. She sometimes goes by her own, marches by her own parade, and gets me stuff that I normally don't ask for, or she finds that she thinks that I would like. And there have been times where I've asked for certain things and she gets me something completely different, but that's besides the point. It happens, and I'm okay with that. But in this case, maybe what I'll do is I'll move my stuff to Amazon wish list and say, hey, you want to figure out what you want to get from me? Hey, just go to my Amazon wish list. And then that way they can buy it from there. So, okay, I'll get him this, this, and this. Boom, 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 boom. They'll get charged to their account, not my account, because it's on my wish list. And they'll send it, and I'll get it for Christmas. So a lot of it's books and movies and Funko Pops. So I have a lot of books and a lot of movies and a lot of Funko Pops on there. And also, to be fair, I also have a bunch of stuff that I have for the kids on there for Christmas and Noelle's case for her birthday coming up. I already know what I think I'm going to get for her birthday because I could get this before Christmas. So I got some of that stuff up there. And then, of course, there might be a few things for my wife up on there as well. I've got a couple of things on there for her. Some stuff doesn't ship until Christmas, or not Christmas, like November, December. So I'll be able to, I pre-ordered them. I haven't pre-ordered them, but they're on my list to pre-order if I wanted to. Or once they shows being in stock, it'll show up as in stock on my list. So I'll just say, okay, I'll just buy it now. So instead of pre-ordering it and then getting it the day it comes out, I can just say, okay, I'll just get it now and it'll deliver within 2 days because I'm a Prime member, which I wholeheartedly want everybody to go do. You should go join Amazon Prime because the free shipping on 2 days is amazing, and there's a ton of items that you don't have to pay shipping on. You just have to pay the initial price and then the tax on. Oh, so one of the videos was like, someone's cell phone ringing? Not mine. It's like dead. There's nobody watching. There's nobody tweeting. Of course, I'm also going up against 1 o'clock football games, or people are like, this guy. So, nothing against Amazon. Just a funny story that happened that because my wife is really cool about stuff like that, she's understandable. And since we both have our stuff here, maybe we'll give stuff to each other today. I don't know. We'll see. I'd like to give stuff to her later, but we're not going to do that either, and that's besides the point. Anyway, let's see what's coming up. What the hell is that? I have no idea what the hell is this? DREN. Oh, dreams. Ha! Since I figured out what I'm going to do, let's talk a little bit about a dream I had last night. Now, I'm going to put out a query to you guys out there. Have you ever had a dream? Let me back up a little bit. A lot of times I can't remember my dreams, or I have vague memories of some things, and then sometimes I remember some distinctly. Maybe not the entire view of it, but something that I can remember. And I still remember, like the one I'm getting ready to tell you about. Have you ever had something happen where you're in a dream and you're remembering the dream and something happens in it, and then when you wake up, it feels like you're still in that case? Case in point, let me tell you what happened to me on Friday night. So Friday night, Dawn is away with Noah camping. So I'm sleeping alone in the bed. Which, I've done before and it's fine, but sometimes it's kind of weird because I'm used to sleep with my wife for 14 years. I slept with my wife. So more than that, actually, probably 17. Well, I mean, not technically 17, but around 16 years I've slept with my wife in our same bed. So, so I'm used to that. And I think she is too, because she always seems to have trouble sleeping when she's not in the same bed as I am. So I had one dream I remember, and I was touching some disgusting stuff. It was like bloody, greasy, poopy stuff I was picking up with my hands, and it was gooey, and it was really disgusting. And I was getting, in my dream, I was getting your stomach starts hurting because it feels like you're getting the gag reflex. You're like, I'm going to throw up, because the smell, type of thing. And something snapped me out of the dream. And I woke up, and it was like 3 in the morning or something like that. And I had the same feeling in my body. So either, since I guess your mind is a complex thing, and you have, it's neurons and shit like that and blowing in your head, and you just snapped out of the dream, and you had that feeling in the dream, and your consciousness hasn't reached your subconscious. You still have that window in between. That's where you start feeling, maybe that's what happened in that little gap between your subconscious and your conscious. When you wake up before your conscious takes over, I had that gag reflex. And so I woke up, and it took me a few minutes to recover from that. So that was weird. And then I don't know why this happened. And I don't know if maybe this is a sign of a medical problem. Maybe I need to get checked out. I don't know. But I don't remember if it was in a dream, but I woke up. I think I was sleeping on my side. I woke up to intense pain down in my crotch area. I know this is getting a little TMI again. But it was almost like blue balls. I mean, I know women don't have an idea what that's like, but it was like a tightening of my, those muscles down there, and it was painful. And so I had to sleep on my back, and the pain wasn't as painful, but you could still feel like a throbbing. And no, I wasn't hard or whatever. If you want to get like, it was just like pain down there. And then eventually, it took a little while, but it kept me awake for a while. And I tried different ways, but I think maybe I might have crushed myself down there, and that's what caused the pain. But it didn't feel like crushing. It felt like it was something inside. And I didn't have it last night, so I don't know if maybe I need to see if it's testicular cancer. I don't think I have testicular cancer because nothing else is hurt, and it's not hurting now. So I don't know. And my one viewer just came in and talked about testicular cancer. So hey, hello, welcome. So those were weird dreams I had the other night, and I guess everybody has them before. So we'll do that. Now that we have one viewer, let's talk a little bit about Tom Petty. Man, they just lost Tom Petty. Shit, I'm not going to listen to this. Tom Petty. Tom Petty passed away this week. I think it might have actually been on our anniversary. Maybe not. But here's a weird story about Tom Petty passing away. So I'm at work, and we're listening to The Bay, which is a classic rock station. Their classic rock now includes stuff from the mid, I guess, to late 80s, I guess, but nothing from the 90s. So it's like from the 80s down to like the 60s. So, you know, you get like old school Beatles and Rolling Stones and Moody Blues and Pink Floyd, and then you get some, you know, 80s music. Some REM is in there as well, and Tom Petty and obviously and John Cougar Mellencamp and Bruce and stuff like that. So yeah, it's general, you know, Led Zeppelin, you know, Skynyrd, you know, those types of Rush, you know, those types of bands, stuff like that. Stuff from the 60s up to the 80s that were rock bands. Who had rock songs that are popular ones, you know, Steely Dan and stuff like that. So it's a little bit after break time. So it's about 3:15ish, I guess. And there's a DJ named Stash who used to be on 98 Rock and is now on The Bay. And I'm working, and I have the radio on, and he does this little thing called the School of Rock, where he asks a question, and if you know the answer, you win a prize, like concert tickets or movie tickets or whatever. And after he asked a question, he had a commercial, and then he broke back in and said, "Breaking news, Tom Petty has been rushed to the hospital with cardiac arrest." And said, we'll keep up to date with this thing. So then they did some more commercials, and they came back on probably about 5 or 10 minutes later, said, it's official, according to TMZ, Tom Petty has died. He has no brainwave activity. He's been taken off life support, and he's died. So he started playing Tom Petty music, which is great. I mean, it's not great because he died, but it's great that, you know, you're honoring one of the singers that you play a ton of stuff on, even when he was alive, and started playing them all in a row without commercial interruptions and without him talking. And then he would break in periodically and say why he was playing all Tom Petty music in case you just turned on the radio, and say, what the heck's going on here, to keep you informed about what's going on. Now, first thing you do is you go on the internet and you check stuff, and, you know, check TMZ, and it didn't say that he died. It said that he was taken off life support. He had no brain activity. But after Stash said that he died, and TMZ said that, I said, hey, he died on the internet. And then, you know, people coming on and says, that's not exactly what they said. You know, they said, you know, he's taken off of life support, and, you know, he was still alive, fighting for life. So then Stash comes back on and says, I was wrong, he's still fighting for life, stuff like that. And then he cut back out and said, okay, it's now official that he died. And then we checked the internet. Sure enough, all the news stuff said he was dead. So we go home and tell my wife that he's dead, text her, and I'm making dinner, stuff like that. And then I keep checking the internet. It's like, oh, wait, no, we're all wrong again. He's actually still fighting for life. It's like, Jesus. I mean, look, I'm glad that he might still be fighting for life, but everybody said he was dead, and I've said it, you know, that he's dead. So I was like, oh, God, now what? And I just know the social media people out there are going to be like, he's not dead. What are you talking about? Blah, 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 blah. And then eventually it was official, and then everybody's news started saying it, and then it was official. And then actually Tom Petty's family said, yes, it's official. He passed away. And that wasn't until like the next morning when they posted that. So he has died. And here's the thing. Tom Petty's always been one of those musicians for me that I like his stuff and I like listening to his music, but I have one album of his, and that's his greatest hits because I like his greatest hits. Now, to be fair, it's 20 tracks. I think it's 18 to 20 tracks. I like all the songs on there. Now, there are other people who I might only like one or two songs of theirs, and when they die, it's like, okay, like, you know, Prince, I was never a huge Prince fan, but I like Purple Rain, and I like some of his other stuff, Raspberry Beret and stuff like that, but I never was a huge Prince fan. And Bowie, when Bowie died, I felt bad because I knew him as an actor, because I love Twin Peaks, and he was on Twin Peaks, and he was also in Zoolander and a few other things as well. And there was some of his music I like, you know, like Fame 90 and other stuff like that, and Under Pressure with Queen and stuff like that. But I was never as huge of a fan of Bowie as a lot of people were. Like my friend Heather, she was a huge Bowie fan, still is. And she was, you know, playing all these obscure songs I'd never heard of before. And the same thing when Steely Dan died, not Steely Dan, but one of the singers of Steely Dan died. You know, I was like, okay, you know, I feel bad, but I was never the biggest Steely Dan fan, you know? Or like when Elvis died, I wasn't around. Well, I was around, but I at that time, it didn't really affect me because I was 6 years old. But even now, I only have a few Elvis songs I like, so it wouldn't have drove me crazy. Now, again, I was too young when Lennon died, but I always liked the Beatles. And then when George died, you know, it was sad, and they'd done some solo stuff. We still have Paul and Ringo. And I think of the two, it'll be a little harder when Paul dies because I also like a lot of his Wings stuff also. But again, it's not like I'm a huge fan. Now, if members of REM died, that's going to be a big deal for me. Or, you know, other people I absolutely love, you know, it's going to be a big deal for me when they pass away. But but with Tom Petty now, you know, and it'll be the same with Bruce when he dies, when Bono dies, and U2, stuff like that. You know, there are a lot of songs of theirs I like. I mean, a lot, but I was never the hugest fan of them. I mean, I don't have all their albums or stuff like that, but I've got some greatest hits of theirs. And I like listening to them on the radio, but I'm like not the hugest fans of them. And that's sort of similar with Tom Petty. I like Tom Petty. Don't get me wrong. I like Tom Petty. There's a ton of songs of his that I like. So it was kind of affecting. It's like, oh, Tom Petty's dead. But I hadn't heard a lot of his newer stuff. I hadn't heard a lot of, you know, Bruce's early stuff. So I don't know what's going on. I haven't really been listening to U2's new stuff, you know. Haven't been listening to Bowie's new stuff when he died. You know, the stuff I remember him from was his older stuff. You know, same with Prince. He had a bunch of new stuff. I never listened to it, so I was never, you know, that big a fan. So I would always go back to the songs I knew and loved. But, you know, Tom Petty, there's a lot of songs out there and that I like of his. So I posted a bunch of the videos, and I added some to my playlists for the year. So like that, I do a playlist for every year, songs I hear that are, you know, that I hear over the year, or things that I think about, or when musicians die, I play some of their music. Like I got a whole section. I move my playlists around all the time, so the tracks are always different, but they're the same songs. Just move them in different locations depending on how I like them. I have a whole section in my 2017 playlist that I have all in a row, 5 or 6 of the musicians who passed away, whose stuff that I liked all together, like Chris Cornell stuff, and the guy from Linkin Park who passed away. I got some of the Linkin Park songs on there, and some Soundgarden stuff, and now Petty stuff, and some other things as well. Now I've got Rhinestone Cowboy from Glenn Campbell and stuff like that on there too. That being said, I do have enough for a top 12 songs of Tom Petty. Now, again, as I said, there are probably a ton I'm missing. I don't remember. These 12 are the ones that I always think of when I listen to him, because these are like the 12 that they always play. Or is it 11? Hold on. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah. I forgot to write 12. Actually, no, to be honest, that would be probably closer to 11, and this would be 12. This is really, I just threw a bunch of things together, and, you know, my list can change depending on the mood I'm in. Like one of the songs I'm getting ready to talk about, I never really thought about too much. I'd heard it before and I liked it, but it was never really on my radar. But then when they started playing it over and over again over the last couple days on the Bay, I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what, I kind of really like this song, and it made it up high on my list. Now that might change down the line, but my number 12 is The Waiting. The waiting is the hardest part. He's used that before for like the end of the Friends, I think, or the end of Seinfeld or something like that, where, it was into Friends, I think. So the promos for the final episode of Friends had that song on the background as you were waiting for the final episode to come in. So it's always there, but it's just one of those that, they still play a lot and is interesting. Actually, that probably belongs to number 10, probably. Number 11 is American Girl. I like American Girl a lot, and it's one of his more upbeat and good ones. Number 10 is You Don't Know How It Feels. The best line being, let's roll another joint and smoke another joint. So it's just kind of cool. Number 9 is Don't Come Around Here No More, which I always remember the video is him being the Mad Hatter, which is a weird, bizarre video, but still kind of cool. Don't come around here no more. It's got that sort of, droney sort of cool quality. Number 8 is Running Down a Dream, which is another really good upbeat type of running down a dream. Do, 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 do. And then number 7 is I Won't Back Down, which is another good one. I Won't Back Down. I like that one. Number 6, we have Refugee, which he sings with Stevie Nicks, which is fantastic. I mean, just the anguish in his voice sometimes, and Stevie Nicks and him when they are together sounds absolutely fantastic. So Refugee is number 6. Even though it's not technically his own song, he's part of it. Number 5 is Learning to Fly. Learning to fly without any wings. And I have another playlist called Similarity where I have that song and I think it's Foo Fighters Learning to Fly also, which is a fantastic double bill together. Number 4 is Into the Great Wide Open, which is a great video with Johnny Depp. I want to say it's Faye Dunaway also, but I'm not 100% certain about that. But it's got the Into the Great Wide Open. It's just a nice little Under Them Skies of Blue. It's pretty good. Number 3 is the one I was telling about. Here Comes My Girl. Now, I remember the song, but it wasn't really in my system. And usually if I hadn't heard it over and over again during the days after his death, this might have been number 12, number 11 or something like that. But here it is number 3 because I like Here Comes My Girl. And it's such a great song because Petty is basically kind of doing a spoken, it's a combination spoken kind of rap type of version of his song. It's like, don't say, and it's not really rap, but it's like he's spoken word it, but he's got enough of a sing-songy quality to it that it adds to the song. And then he sings the chorus, Here come my girl, and then he throws a little bomb and was like, watch her walk, type of thing. It's just something about the song and just listening to it over and over again. And I think what does it is the sing-songy spoken word and the little bomb notes he puts off to the side, like here, look at her walk, so like that. And when you think about the lyrics, he sounds like he's in anguish and pain, that his life has no meaning, and then the only thing that is bringing him back is his girl, and that's why he loves her so much. So that's a nice little song. That's why it's number 3. Number 1 and number 2 were kind of hard to choose from, and any other given Sunday they could be flip-flop back and forth. But for now, I'm going to put Last Dance with Mary Jane as number 2. Sometimes I might put it number 1, but number 2, I just love I played Last Dance with Mary Jane at the beginning of the episode, the opening chord, and the video with Kim Basinger, and the weird, bizarre quality of him dancing with her corpse. It's just kind of a weird type of video, but the song itself is really, really cool, and it's very not druggy, but kind of sway, dreamy quality to it, which is really, really, really cool. My number 1 is Free Fallin', which I've always been a big fan of artists who tell stories. Billy Joel, Elton John, even Bono and U2 somewhat. They tell stories in their songs. And I'm sure there's probably other people who've told stories, you know, Madonna maybe in there, REM might be in there as well. But the ones that stick out most when it comes to a Billy Joel or an Elton John or a Tom Petty are songs that are stories. And Free Fallin' is a story, you know, about a girl who loves her mama, her husband, and her boyfriend too, and Jesus, and then the vampires, and it just is a whole. It's a very good, like a story song, and that's why it's my number one. So, rest in peace, Tom Petty. You will be missed. Let's see, I got about half an hour. I run down a bunch of little. Yeah, I think I'll be able to hit these. I might not be. I might not get into my more political stuff because I keep pushing them off, but I will circle them and maybe use them at a different time. If I get to them, they'll be at the very end of the episode. But let's switch gears again. Sonic the Hedgehog. Everybody knows Sonic the Hedgehog. He's a video game, one of the more popular video game characters, and he's from Sega. And he's recently been getting some more exposure lately and stuff like that. Well, they're going to be doing a live action Sonic movie, which means basically I think that it'll be a computer generated Sonic, but might be in the up against regular actors. We'll see how that works out, but it's on the cards. It's in pre-production right now. It probably won't come out for a couple years, but it's there. So just keep an eye out for that. My son likes Sonic. My son's interesting. He goes through cycles. He might be really, really into, like, say, Minecraft for a while, and then he'll switch gears and be really, really into Mario, and then really, really into Sonic, and then really, really into Pokemon, and then doubles back around and is really, really back into Sonic again, you know. So he goes in and out. So I think he might enjoy it. We'll see what happens in a couple years. We'll see. But I just wanted to get that out there. Locally, I might have mentioned this last week, but I'm going to mention it again anyway because I have an addendum to it. We'll go in order. I talked about this a couple weeks ago. I found this really funny. Near us, a place called Owings Mills. So we have Reisterstown, Owings Mills. And you just go straight down Reisterstown Road. You'll go through Reisterstown, and then you go into Owings Mills area. Now, recently, I think it might have been last fall maybe, or maybe it was even earlier this year. I don't know. It might have been the spring too. No, it's been longer than that. A new shopping center had opened up on Reisterstown Road. It used to be a Solo Cup factory, but they shut it down a long time ago, and the abandoned factory just been sitting there for years until someone bought the land, and they decided they wanted to turn it into a shopping mecca. You know, more restaurants, you know, more, you know, there's going to be like a WellSpan Health there is there now, and then they wanted to put a Wegmans, which is a giant grocery store chain there, and they wanted to get some restaurants and some liquor stores and clothing stores, and a gym has been set up over there, and they had this huge plot of land. It's about a whole street, a whole block, you know. And then it goes back. So they've destroyed the Solo Cup plant, and they leveled out the ground because it was kind of slanted a little bit. They leveled it out, and they built the shopping stuff. They have Wegmans, they have a credit union, they've got a bunch of shops, including, you know, restaurants and liquor stores and clothing stores and stuff like that. And then you got the gyms off to the side, and you got the WellSpan Health there. So it's a whole big thing, and it's drawing a bunch of people. They've had to reroute some of the roads and create some new roads and stuff like that. But it's drawing a lot of people into Owings Mills again. Now, at the time, before it became this area, when it was still the abandoned Solo Cup factory, Krispy Kreme had a shop across the street from this abandoned Solo Cup factory. And it did okay for a while, but eventually it was losing people buying stuff. I guess they were all going to Dunkin' or whatever, because a bunch of Dunkins just opened up in the area. And so they shut down. And the store stayed there, and it started getting overgrown by trees and plants and grass and nothing. No one was buying that plot of land because it was basically dead land, because there was nothing around. There was the old Solo Cup factory, and then there was like another restaurant that had closed up also. So it was a bunch of, and it looked bad. It was kind of a scar on the neighborhood, I guess, as it were. And when they announced this new shopping area, which is now up and running, everything's built now. I don't think there's anything else that's still being built there. If there is, I don't know about it right now, top of my head. It became more of a wanted plot of land. So Krispy Kreme decided it was time to get back into the area. And lo and behold, their old store was still standing. Nobody was in it. So they bought their old store, which was Krispy Kreme one time, and have now refurbished it into a new Krispy Kreme. It does not open until October 17th. We got that officially. So that is what, today's the 18th. It's 9 days from now. So it won't open this week, but it's going to open next week. And now that they have this big shopping center, it's probably going to be primed to do really well, because the closest Dunkin' is a little bit further down the road back. So there's really there's about maybe 5 minutes away. So there's really no donut area that is going to be good for the Owings Mills people, because now they would have to go to that. They were going to that Dunkin', but now they don't have to. They go to Krispy Kreme. So, and if they want to go Dunkin', they go to Dunkin'. It's not that far down the road, but still, Krispy Kreme feels that this could be the best time for them to reopen, because there is offices over there. I mean, the WellSpan Health office is over there, and there are employees over there who have to work at the grocery store and the restaurants and the clothing store. So they're going to want maybe donuts and coffee in the morning. So hey, just come across the street, grab your stuff, come back across. So that opens October 17th. Last week, I might have mentioned it, but I mentioned it on my Comic Haul show, which is the other show I do where I talk about the comic books I bought for the week. The local store here in Reisterstown is in a shopping center where my Bill Bateman's is. It's a strip mall, so it's a very small store, and it's very compressed because they got a lot of stuff in there. They got boxes of back issues, and they got lots of toys and stuff like that, and shelving, and it's just sort of kind of cramped, so it's hard to move around sometimes when you have a lot of people in there. The guy who owns it is the guy who created and runs the Baltimore Comic-Con. So up here in Reisterstown on Main Street, we have a bunch of old historical houses which are only zoned for shops. Now, you can't live in them anymore. I don't know why that is, but you just can't. But you can turn it into businesses. And there have been some that have been turned to businesses and then they failed for various reasons. One, there's not a lot of parking. Two, it's similar business. Like there's a lot of antique stores and hair salons, stuff like that. And so a lot of these were, a lot of these shops were doing that type of thing. And there's a coffee shop. As I've told you before, there was a coffee shop, local coffee shop up there that was there for a few years, but then the owners divorced and they couldn't afford to run it. So they closed it down and now it's still vacant. And that's the one I want to put my coffee shop into. But that's besides the point. Anyway, further up the main street, closer to where I live, there was a rental place. Used to be an old movie theater, when they used to have 1 or 2 screens. And you could still see like the marquees similar, and they had pictures of movie theater stuff. And it looks like an old school movie theater. But for about 25, 30 years, maybe even longer, it was a rental shop, a place where you can rent vans or snow plows or lawn mowing machines or mobile lawn mowers or regular lawn mowers or snow blowers or they have other stuff in there, carpet cleaner stuff, and you can rent whatever you want. And it was very successful because it stayed there, as I said, for like 30, 35, 25 years. It was there for a really, really long time. And they also had a sign on the outside, which they changed every few weeks into puns, and they were hilarious. Some of them were so funny, and some of them made you go, huh? And then you had to think about it. It was like, oh, okay, I get it. And that was always a fun thing to look. Well, the owners of that announced their retirement a few months ago. So they retired and they sold the building apparently, and we don't know to who or whatever. So, excuse me. So we didn't know what was going to go into there. So or they were putting it for sale. So they left and the store was just sitting there. And then very soon afterwards, I started seeing people going in there and cleaning stuff out. So I was like, oh, maybe someone did buy it. Turned out someone did. My comic shop bought it. I'm very happy about that. My comic shop, which is not that far away from here, but it's not really within walking distance. I mean, I could walk, but it would take a really long time. It's easier to drive. my comic shop is now going to move that much closer to me. You come out of my neighborhood and you turn right and you go up this road and it connects with Main Street, and right across the street is where the comic book store is going to be. Whoop, whoop, comic store. I could walk there now. They have okay parking. It's not great parking, but I think they don't need to have a storage area like they used to. The rental place used to put the snow plows and the vans and the moving trucks and stuff like that down there. They don't need that anymore. They could tear that up and turn that into parking. So I found out about that. I was like, okay, that's awesome. And people continue working on it. They added a door on the side with a ramp so you could go in now if you have wheelchairs, which is great. And they have the regular front entrance as well. And it's right on Main Street, so you can be a part of the Main Street community because they do cool stuff at Christmas and they do cool stuff at Halloween and during the summer and during the fall festival. They have parades, and it's going to be cool now that you can go to the store and do like trick-or-treating and stuff like that. So I talked to Chuck, who is one of the guys who's worked at the comic book store for the longest time on this past Wednesday when I bought my comics. And to get back to that, yes, we paid our mortgage, but I used money from a different source to pay for my comics, so it still works out. I was talking to Chuck, and he told me, I was like, hey, I hear you're going to be moving a lot closer to me now. You're going to be within walking distance now. I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. It's like, how's it going? He's like, well, or I was like, first I said, how's it going? Because he also had a sign that said it's going to open on November 1st. So I was like, okay, so how's it going? You're going to open November 1st. That's cool. It's not that far away. He's like, yeah, but they're not as finished as I would like them to be, or we would like them to be. So apparently the people who are rebuilding the interior of the building for them are not that close. They still have the date of the 1st on there, but it wouldn't surprise me if it gets delayed. But he started, and then after he said that, he started talking glowingly about it. I was like, look, it's going to be great. It's a big building. He also said the back room, which is where they store their extra comics and extra stuff, their excess inventory and other stuff as well. Their back room in this new place is as big as the store that they have now. Just let that sink in. The store they have now, which has all the stuff they're selling to us now, is this going to be the size of their storeroom, which means the size of the store itself is going to be triple what it is now, because you already got your store. There you go. The store's right there. It's our inventory room. Now we got all the space we got to fill, and they do. It's a big place. I mean, it used to be a freaking movie theater, as I said. So it's a big open space. So he's going to say, yeah, we're going to do this, and it's going to be a lot more airy and more light, and they're going to get more windows in. It's going to be fantastic, and I cannot wait to see what they do with it. And they put comic book stuff on the outside. There's like little panels. You can put like pictures of Spider-Man or Deadpool or whatever you want there. It'd be great. And you can, you're going to have enough room that, when you do Free Comic Book Day or Halloween Fest or any of these, comic book events, you can have people out there to draw your attention to this place. Or if you're going to have signings, you can get more signings there, because the guy, as I said, who runs Baltimore Comic-Con and who books the guests, and the guests love to come to Baltimore Comic-Con, he can say, hey, you want to come do a signing? We've got a brand new store. It's not going to be cramped in here. You have lots of airy space. Lots of people going to be able to come in. They'll be like, hell yeah, I'll be in there. So we'll probably see lots more. And it's great. And I cannot wait to see it. So I'm very ecstatic about that. So that opens November 1st. And then November 2nd, new Chick-fil-A opens. Now, here's an interesting thing about that. There's Chick-fil-A off of Owings Mills Boulevard in the back here near Stevenson University, which I go to. I like it a lot. But it's about a 10-minute drive from our house. They opened one in that shopping area where the Solo Cup factory used to be. They opened just that one also. That's probably a 15-minute drive from my house, so it's still a little bit far away. It's a little too close to the other Chick-fil-A, though, so I'm kind of worried about the one on Owings Mills Boulevard, because there was a Famous Dave's there, and that's closed. So hopefully it won't branch over to the Chick-fil-A, but I think there's enough people to cover all the different Chick-fil-A's, because that other Chick-fil-A has been open for a while, and they were still pretty busy the other day when I was in there. So now they're going to have a third Chick-fil-A across the street from Franklin High School, which I think is genius, because there's a McDonald's right next to Franklin High School. And then they're going to have a Chick-fil-A across the street from Franklin High School. So your high school kids, before they go into school, they love to eat their food. You know, they'll go in, they'll get something to eat at McDonald's, or now they can go to Chick-fil-A and get something to eat. And then after school, if they're hungry, hey, just jump over there, get to Chick-fil-A. There you go. And then they can get jobs there too. And it'll be closer to home because it's right there by your high school. You know, if you have to work in the evening, you can go right across the street from high school right to the Chick-fil-A or the McDonald's. You can go to work right away if you want to work there. So that opens the 2nd of November. That's closer to us. But to be honest, it's right on Reisterstown Road. And it's at the top of a shopping center. And I don't know if I'm going to be that big of a fan of it, particularly if there's going to be, you know, lots of teenagers in there. Nothing against them, but you know how they are. So I'm going to probably continue going to the one on Owings Mills Boulevard because it's off the beaten path. There's a small shopping area there. There's lots of parking, and it's very airy, and I like it. And I'll probably keep going there. But the fact is we have 3 Chick-fil-A's now, or going to November as of November 2nd, all within a 5 to 10 mile radius of each other. So hopefully there won't be stealing from each other, and hopefully the Owings Mills Boulevard one doesn't shut down because it is off the beaten path while the other 2 are right on Reisterstown Road. And one is part of a bigger shopping center, which is still fairly new. So we'll see what happens. O.J. Simpson's a free man, and that's all I have to say about that. He is out free now. He can continue his search for the real killers. Bazinga. Oh, it's like they're playing video games. It's pretty cool. Terry Gilliam, I talked about this a while back. I got busted by a fake news article. Terry Gilliam's a director, directed Time Bandits, 12 Monkeys, was a member of Monty Python, and for the longest time, he's been trying to make a version of Don Quixote. And he's gone through, it's probably been 20, 25, 30 years that he's been trying to get this Don Quixote movie up and running. And every time he's gotten it up and running, something has happened. The lead actor dies. A freak storm comes through and destroys all the sets. The film gets destroyed, stuff like that. So eventually he was able to film it in digital. And there was a joke website that once the film was done, he said Terry Gilliam loses only copy of Don Quixote was deleted when he forgot to save or something like that. And I bought it first thing. I figured, you know what? There's been so much other strife, and this movie seems like it's snake bit that I believe it would happen. But Terry Gilliam himself said, yeah, it's a good story, but it ain't true. I was like, you got me good. So his movie is finally going to see the light of day next summer. So you might just have to check it out just to see. This is a film that's literally been 30 years in the making. And hopefully it won't be too snake bit, and hopefully things will maybe. The most ironic thing would be if it turns out to be a huge success, like one of the biggest movies of the summer. That would be hilarious, and maybe it'll happen. I don't know. Probably not, because Avengers Infinity War is probably going to be that one, but you know what? That's besides the point. Speaking of comic book stuff, the Justice League trailer dropped today. The Last Jedi full trailer, we saw a teaser a few months back. The first full trailer of The Last Jedi is dropping tomorrow. Considering the movie comes out in December, it's about 2 months away. You need to get people talking about it again. So it's a good time to put in there. So that's going to be tomorrow. You'll have The Last Jedi trailer drop. So they've shown some quick scenes from it. It looks pretty good. It's going to make money anyway because it's a new Star Wars movie. But the Justice League movie had its second trailer drop today. The first one I saw was okay. It was enjoyable, but I've been talking to MJ on the comic book show about how I'm not that excited about the Justice League movie because Batman vs. Superman was terrible. Suicide Squad was terrible. Wonder Woman was good. And I didn't like when I saw the original trailer for Justice League, the first one, how they're making the Flash, Barry Allen Flash, be a lot like Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and that's not who Barry Allen is, and that upset me. And then they have frat boy Conan, Aquaman, Jason Momoa, which nothing against Jason Momoa, he's a good actor, it's fine, but you're not Aquaman. Aquaman is not like that, but now he is apparently in the DC universe. And then the whole situation where Joss Whedon had to take over, finishing editing and did some reshoots to make, add some stuff to the film after the original director had to leave due to family issues. So we got the first view of some of the new stuff that's coming out in the second trailer that dropped today. And honestly, it's starting to turn me around again. It's starting to look pretty excellent. I'm still not a big fan of Peter Parker Flash, and I still can't reconcile the Jason Momoa Aquaman, but I might be able to push that aside to take a look at that, because everything else about this looks great. It has a great sequence at the beginning with Lois Lane dreaming about Superman, and it's well lit, and it's really sweet and nice. And then you're getting a bit less darker aspect of it, which is what the problem was with the first couple of DC movies, was especially Man of Steel also, where everything was dark. You know, the costumes were dark, the action was dark, the story was dark, and that's not DC. You know, DC is not the grim and gritty stuff. It's the futuristic, is bright, wonderful. Marvel is the more real world stuff, and Marvel's been kicking its ass, DC's ass, with their excellent movies and their humorous ends, which are humor and pathos at the same time. DC was just all pathos, and now they're starting to get it. It's like, okay, we need to add a little bit of humor in here. Sometimes the humor seems forced, but hopefully organically it'll work for this. And the few jokes I saw were kind of cool, like Cyborg throwing Aquaman in the sky like he's flying and he's taking out parademons, and that looks like fun. And then but again, just another of the joke things was the Flash being so excited to see the bat signal. It's like, oh, it's like, no, you're not Barry Allen. Barry Allen is not like that at all. If you were Wally West, maybe I'd get that. But no, Barry Allen is a freaking police officer. He's a CSI guy. He's a grown-up. He's not a child. And even Grant Gustin's performance is a lot better than this version. Nothing against the actors playing the Flash in the Justice League movie, but Grant Gustin's role, he's done a fantastic job, and he's got the right balance for Barry Allen. This guy doesn't. He's playing it as Peter Parker, and I don't like that. But that being said, I might be able to sweep that out of the way, and I might be able to sweep Aquaman out of the way, because this looks pretty good. And have Joss Whedon have a little bit of a take in it might also be really good too. So there's that. Continuing the enough is enough, but still going. V for Vendetta, which was a good comic book story, was made to an okay comic book movie, is now being considered to be turned to a TV show. Now, again, when you want to turn a finite series like V for Vendetta into a TV series, you're only going to get 1, maybe 2 seasons out of it. If it was just like a limited series, like we're going to do a 12-hour movie of V for Vendetta, then fine. Throw everything that was in the book into it, but don't call it a TV series, because that infers multiple seasons. If you're going to take a self-contained story like a Watchmen, that's the other thing too. Watchmen is going to be a show on HBO, a series on HBO. Again, if you make it, I could maybe see 2 seasons of Watchmen. Maybe it's going to be really, really hard to spread it out over 24 hours or 26 hours, depending on how many episodes they do. But if you do one big 12-hour movie and say that's it, okay, that's good. Do what David Lynch did with Twin Peaks Season 3. They called it a TV series, but David Lynch himself said, no, it's an 18-hour movie. And the way he edited it, with the exception of adding the credits at the beginning and the musical and band at the end, knowing that the episode was over, and the credits at the end, if you cut all that out and you re-edit it, it looks like an 18-hour movie, because characters are introduced and they do weird things in episode. You're like, what the hell does that have to do with it? But if you're watching it in a bigger picture, it makes perfect sense. So we'll see if that happens. But again, when you call it a series, you're inferring multiple seasons, and that's not what you can really do with a V for Vendetta or a Watchmen, which is both getting these series pickups. So now with a Daredevil or Jessica Jones or Luke Cage or Iron Fist or Defenders or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Cloak and Dagger, Runaways, Power Pack, any of these other shows like that that are coming up or out now or coming up, Punisher, you can do multiple seasons because there's multiple story arcs. But if you're taking a series like V for Vendetta or Watchmen and expanding it into a series, American Gods is similar also. I mean, American Gods is a novel. It has a beginning and middle, and you technically there's a sequel with Anasazi Boys, and you can maybe make that into a second season, but there's really not a lot you can do. I don't like the and it didn't work with that Stephen King series that came out that lasted 2 seasons too much about the giant dome over the town. I forget what it's called. The first season was really, really good, and it did really, really well in the rate. Under the Dome is what it was called. They did really, really well in the ratings, and they deviated a lot from the book. And then they had to expand it to 2 more seasons where they totally deviated from the book. You know, if you're going to do an adaptation of a book as a TV series, as I said, make it a limited 12, 13 episode series, episodes show, and be done with it. Fit everything you wanted to into it, and you want to do the adaptation of it, then do it. Don't expand it out. Now, with The Strain, you had 3 books, and so it makes sense that they had 4 seasons. You could easily stretch out. They added some things and took out some things. It makes sense. You can expand that because it was a multiple book series. Under the Dome isn't. Watchmen isn't. V for Vendetta isn't. American Gods, as I said, you could conceivably make Anasazi Boys into a sequel of sorts, but 2 seasons, maybe 3 at most. Learn to stop when you're ahead. Dave Lynch did a great job, as I said, with Twin Peaks. Made an 18-hour movie, had to cut up into 18-hour long episodes to fit the TV series mold, but take it as it is. It's an 18-hour movie, and if you watch it as an 18-hour movie, it makes a lot more sense than you might have seen broken up into TV series, because in a TV series, you're expecting beginning, middle, and end, and that's not what happens here. And it's hard to expand upon something. So we'll see what happens. Judy Greer is in talks to play Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter in the Halloween spinoff. I think that'd be fantastic because I love Judy Greer. Go back and check one of my old episodes of Dylan Knows where I go off on 13 going on 30, where Judy Greer was fantastic. I mean, Jennifer Garner was fantastic in the movie as well, and so was Mark Ruffalo. But Judy Greer, her character kind of gets a short shrift, and it makes it look like she's the bad guy in the film. But if you've actually sat down and watched the film, it's a reasonable character arc for her to go on, and she's not really the bad guy. She's just replying to what she has seen through her eyes. And so it's a great episode. I wish I could tell you which one it was, but it's fantastic. Judy Greer was not the bad guy in 13 going on 30, even though they made it seem like she was. If you actually sit down and watch the movie and think about it, she isn't. All right. People on Twitter are getting angry about a promo saying Nazis are bad for a release of a new video game called Wolfenstein 2. They used the tagline, "Make America Nazi-free again," and so people got upset with that. This world's fucked up, man. Nazis are not good people. They're bad people. Seriously. And Wolfenstein is a great gaming series. Yeah, I get it. You're shooting Nazis. So a lot of these people are saying, well, it's going to make people want to shoot Nazis. Well, guess what? You want to shoot us. Well, not us. You want to shoot black people or foreign people or kill us with cars like you did, literally. You're not good people. And people who defend Nazis are just as bad as the Nazis. And this is why this world is the state it's in right now. And we need to fix this soon. That means we need to have an end of the world scenario that ends this. I'm not asking for it because I want my kids to grow up not having to deal with stuff like that. But I would rather they grow up in a world that they can control instead of one that is not in good shape. It boggles my mind. On a lighter side, an apparent drunk man was picked up by the police, and he was ranting and raving about claiming to be a time traveler from the year 2048, and he made his way back to now saying that the aliens are going to arrive and invade and take us over in 2018. And when asked why his breath smelled of alcohol and why he appeared to be drunk, he said the aliens forced him to drink this alcohol. And that's all I had to say about that. It's an interesting concept, and maybe he's going to be right. Maybe the aliens are going to invade in 2018. And if it's true, hey, I'm sorry, guy, but the aliens got you drunk, and now you're ranting and raving about aliens invasions 2048. That's the only thing I'm worried about. How'd you pick that number out of your head? That might be the only thing with it. Might be a smidgen of truth. Maybe he is a time traveler. Look out in 2018. We have our next end of the world scenario. Aliens are coming to invade. It never fails. Every year you're going to have at least one. And the world's supposed to happen a couple weeks ago. It didn't happen. To be continued. Batman. Spoiler alert. I love the Batman comic now. Tom King is one of my favorite writers. He's writing the hell out of the book. He's on issue 32-ish by now. He's taking Batman on a really good story arc. And one of the things, he's changing up the status quo, so it's not your typical Batman stories. Batman finally proposed to Catwoman after 2 episodes of them having sex everywhere, which was great, by the way. He proposed to Catwoman, and she never responded because they jumped into a story arc that went into the past, which is funny that Batman is telling Catwoman the story after they've had sex in bed. He's wearing shorts, she's wearing her bra and panties. And they're in bed in a dark room, and he's telling the story about all these people who got killed during the war of jokes and riddles. So the end of the last part of that series happened this week, came out this week. And also this week, Catwoman answered his proposal. And spoiler alert, she said yes. So now Tom King is going to take him on a new story arc where Batman and Catwoman are going to be getting married. And to be honest, I think that's a freaking awesome idea. It changes up the character enough, but keeps it interesting and keeps him within the realm of the way Tom King has been writing him so far this year. It's not something that came out of left field. If you've been reading the series up to this point, it makes complete and utter sense that this is the next logical step. And let's hope, what's wrong with superheroes getting out of their groove? That's why I was so angry when they dissolved Peter and Mary Jane's wedding, or their marriage, because they believed that more people weren't buying Spider-Man comics because they didn't want to see a superhero who was married, which is BS, by the way. Because to be honest, the people who are buying your comics now, people like me who've been buying them since the 80s, who are married and want to see characters like that. Yes, I know you want to get more younger people in to buy the comics, but guess what? It's not going to happen. They got too many other distractions. And it's nice. It's nice to try it. Absolutely. Keep trying. Don't give up. But it's not going to be that easy. So, hooray for Batman, Mazel Tov, whatever you want to call it like that. Again, I don't know if I'm going to get into... One of these days, I'm just going to probably just do a political episode and just get into a lot of trouble. So I think I'm going to combine these for later, because I'm over my 2-hour limit, because I like to talk a lot. And I tried to keep it under 2 hours or at 2 hours, because after that, a lot of people aren't going to watch it. Obviously, averaging 6 to 10 viewers is, even if I have an episode at 1:30 minutes, it's still an hour too long. So maybe I need to cut back to an hour. Ain't going to happen. Anyway, I'm going to end the episode tonight, right now. The Ravens are playing at 4 o'clock. I won't be watching it because I'll be taking my daughter, probably my son, to do laser tag. I like laser tag. It should be fun. I've already paid for laser tag, so it should be interesting. Though I kind of don't want to go now, but you know what? I'll go. My daughter wanted to do it yesterday. We just couldn't fit it in yesterday. So that being said, you have a great day. Probably new episode of the Comic Call probably will not happen Wednesday, though I do get my credit card updated on Tuesday. So maybe we'll see, depending on that, or just wait till Friday when I get all the money. My wife gets paid, I get paid, and I get my bonus. So we're getting all the money on Friday. So it might not be till Friday. Next Thursday, the 12th, is the new episode of The Snooze, hopefully. If it changes, it changes. We'll let you know. Walking Dead is coming up in 14 days. Yeah, 2 weeks from now. Walking Dead comes, re-airs. A new season comes on. And Friday the 13th is this week. So be careful. Now go out there, enjoy your rest of your Sunday, or if you're watching this at another time, enjoy whatever day it is. I'll be back next week with some sort of episode, either with Jerry or MJ or by myself or political or whatever. There'll be an episode sometime next week. All right, y'all. Have a good one. Bye.